Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Smackdown wasn't that bad tonight, but for some reason, CJAX do not like it, and of course, we got to hear why he doesn't like it. I thought Smackdown was pretty good tonight, but let's hear what he has to say, and then I'll chime in if I disagree.
Well, another week in another pretty bad episode of Smackdown. Now, this episode of Smackdown, it's like an hour before the show's over and I'm already starting this review because I'm not watching whatever is going to happen leading up to the Cena, Cody, and Jay and Logan segment. I am going to watch that segment and I will be covering that later on in this review, but let's be honest. I'm not going to sit here and watch the garbage 30 to 40 minutes of programming before we get to that final segment. That's just not going to happen. The only way to make it through a 3-hour Smackdown is if you either fall asleep and wake up during it, or if you take a break from it and then come back and watch the rest of it later, or if you just completely turn it off and never watch it again. That's the only ways to make it through 3-hour Smackdown. So, you gotta either break it up or just kind of get through it that way. But this episode of Smackdown was better than last week's monstrosity, but at the same time, this is probably still going to go down as one of the worst Smackdowns of the year, which is not really saying much because they've all been pretty bad. But at least you had every single important star in this company besides Roman and Drew McIntyre were on the show. You had Seth Rollins, John Cena, Dr. Libations, Jey Uso, etc. So you at least have that added advantage of having all those people there. You had your mid-card guys there, like your Jacob Fatu, he showed up, so that's good. But outside of that, there's nothing to speak of here. You can have all the talent in the world, all the people in the world on the show. You're not going to get anything out of it because Triple H sucks as a booker, and that's why he's rumored to be potentially fired within the next 18 months. You understand what I'm saying? And something I want to also call it is that we have a very special birthday today, guys. Today is the birthday of Drew McIntyre, man. I think he's turning 40 today, so that's great. Drew McIntyre was obviously arguably the MVP of WWE in 2024, so I think that it's absolutely awesome that this is happening. So I hope he enjoys his birthday and has a speedy recovery, for the neck injury. So there you have that. And I can't stop thinking about Punk, you know what I'm saying? Yeah!
Yeah, happy belated birthday of Drew McIntyre. When this video comes out, it's going to be on the day of the pay-per-view, but yeah, I just want to say happy belated birthday to Drew McIntyre.
Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and start off with this show, okay? Now, first thing that happened was Seth Rollins came out and said the same stuff he's been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks at this point. He basically says that the OTC and Punk don't care about you. They can't save you. They don't care about you. But Cody Rhodes cares about you. He has respect for you. He needs you. He loves you. You know what I'm saying? But still, he says all those things, and he says that anyone in his way or in the way of his group are going to get destroyed, okay? And he says that no one can stop him. The same nonsense he's been saying for weeks. And as you watch this segment, you continue to realize how ridiculous this is. Number one, Seth Rollins is noticeably bigger than Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, in terms of his height-wise, right? So it just looks a little bit off when you see someone who's Bronson Reed, who's the same height as Paul Heyman, is trying to go out there and fight against dudes who are noticeably bigger than him, like a Jacob Fatu. You get what I mean? It's just very off-putting. Then you have Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker comes out there most times looking like annoying orange with all that spray tan. But anyways, Seth Rollins basically says the same thing he normally does, like I've been saying. But the sad thing is that you can see how wasted Braun Breaker is. There is no reason that a star this young with that much potential as Braun Breaker has to be a potential all-time great, and down the line in the future, of course. There's no reason why someone with that potential should be straddled down with being a hive mind bot idiot to help Seth Rollins win a championship that he already had. He's not taking back a title that he never lost, yeah. He's trying to take back the B-level World Heavyweight Championship. What is the point of this? This is stupid. Why is Braun Breaker sitting there being a mindless henchman for this? It doesn't make sense, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that he's relegated to this is embarrassing. Seth Rollins, after he says no one can stop him, Solo Sikoa comes out. And Solo Sikoa, I have to say, is growing on me in the mic. He's doing a pretty solid job on the mic. He's funny. He's got some type of charisma going on there, and it's mildly entertaining. He comes on and asks some questions in a very funny cadence. He's like, Seth, you said nobody can stop us, right? He's got the facial expressions with it as well, so it's pretty funny. And then he basically says that, we can stop you, because we right here. I got me, I got Fatu, and I got Jeffrey Cobb. Jefferson Cobb. Jeffington Cobbington, Jefferson Cobbington. You got all the corn like Cobb you want. Anyways, he says all of this stuff, and he basically says that Seth Rollins has a copycat fake bloodline, which is absolutely facts. It's about time someone called this out. Seth Rollins complained about Punk and Roman abusing power, and Roman was abusing the system with the bloodline and cheating his way to the top and had his lackeys doing his bidding for him, and now Seth's doing the same thing, but no one brings it up. So I'm glad that it was at least referenced to with Solo Sikoa. He says that Braun Breaker is basically the right-hand man, Jey Uso, and that Bronson Reed is playing the role of the honorary Uso, Sami Zayn. And he brings up the fact that Bronson Reed went no contact after Survivor Series and just didn't contact Solo at all, and then all of a sudden, he shows back up and sides with Seth Rollins, so that doesn't really make any sense, obviously, but you know what? This is Triple H booking for you. Nothing makes any sense, and pretty much nothing that happens that actually makes sense. There's not much that happens in WWE today that you can actually sit there and be like, wow, that makes complete sense, that was entertaining, and that is absolutely great. There's not much you can say that, there's really much nothing you can say that for at all anymore, so it is what it is. Then after this, Seth Rollins basically says that Fatu is the only one he fears out of these three jobbers, and then basically, he didn't call them jobbers, but you get the point. He then says that Jacob Fatu should have a new name instead of the Samoan Werewolf. He should be called Solos B. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Then they all get upset. Braun Breaker, sorry, I'm saying all kinds of LeBron James, you know what I'm saying? But Braun Breaker basically steps up, Jacob Fatu steps up, they have a face-off, both have a little bit of tension between both sides, both teams, and then they kind of just, Seth Rollins' team just kind of walks out of the ring, and that's pretty much that, okay? Seth also brings up how Braun Breaker is the future of the industry, and Solo Sikoa is not. Even though Seth Rollins called himself the future of the industry, he's also pushing 40, so, it is what it is. None of this makes sense, this faction is stupid. There's no chemistry, there's no engagement, there's no intrigue, and there's no big match or big team feel quality that this team has in comparison to what we got with Roman and the Usos and Paul Heyman when they were doing the Bloodline story in its early stages. You get what I mean? This faction just isn't working, and it's not that good, and obviously it doesn't make sense. I've broken it down in many different ways. It is what it is. Then we get to the next thing, which was Jefferson Cobb versus Jimothy Uso, okay? Now, Jimmy Uso versus Jefferson Cobb is a match that we're not going to be discussing much of because no one cares. Jimmy Uso wins by roll up, and afterwards Jacob Fatu's upset with Jeffrey Cobb and Solo because they kind of got in the way and tried to cost Jimmy. It didn't work. Jacob tried to get in the way as well, but it didn't work, and now they're having miscommunications. They're really trying to force this narrative of Jacob and Solo having beef, and so we'll just have to see what happens with that. There's something that happened later in the night where they had a backstage segment, but I'll discuss that a little bit later. And something I realized while watching this segment as well is the simple fact of this, okay? So at SummerSlam, Survivor Series War Games of last year, Bronson Reed was working as a lackey underneath Solo Sikoa. He then disappears and comes back, and now he's siding with Seth Rollins. There's no explanation. Did they slide him money? Did they give him an extra opportunity? Did they do anything other than make him a mindless hive mind bot lackey jobber? Because that's all that he's done since siding with Seth Rollins. You know what I'm saying? That's all it's going to be. He ain't winning no IC title. He ain't winning no world title. He ain't doing none of that. The best thing he could possibly get is maybe a tag belt. And that would mean that you're relegating Braun Breaker to being a tag champion when he really could be a mid-card to upper-card level champion. So it's just embarrassing. Then you also have to factor in this as well. There is no scenario in which Solo, Jacob Fatu, and Jeffington Cobbington cannot knock out these three jobbers of Seth, Braun, and Brunson inside of the ring. Now, obviously, Seth and Braun aren't jobbers. I'm just saying it, the wordplay. You get what I'm saying? I'm just calling them jobbers because I'm used to it. These three jobbers should not be getting, intimidating Jacob Fatu, Solo, and Jeff Cobb. Bronson Reed was just Solo Sikoa's lackey. Jeff Cobb is being booked stronger than Bronson Reed is. Then you also have the fact that Jacob Fatu in the power scaling, because he is a mid-card champion, is by virtue of that a stronger threat than Braun Breaker is. You know what I'm saying? So what are we doing at this point? Seth Rollins was in a struggle match with Jey Uso. Well, a couple weeks ago on Raw. Why are we pretending as if Solo, Jacob Fatu, and Jeff Cobbington couldn't just solo these dudes in seconds? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. And even with that, I've already said this before, why couldn't Roman, Jay, Jimmy, Cody, Punk, and Sami Zayn team up, and once Jacob Fatu turns face, him too, and just 7v3 Seth in this stupid faction and get him over with? You know what I'm saying? There's no logic to any of this booking. If they really wanted to wipe out Seth, Braun, and Brunson immediately, Roman and that team I just mentioned would wipe them out by Monday on Raw. Immediately. It wouldn't even be close. They'd open up the show with it. They'd be done in 3 minutes, and that'd be the last you see of Seth, Braun, and Brunson. Easily. But we have to wait through this and do these annoying and boring segments. It's so bad, man. It's really bad. We then get a backstage segment with Julia and Zelina Vega. Now remember, Julia is in the Money in the Bank match tomorrow, okay? If you're in the Money in the Bank match trying to vie for a contract that can get you a title shot for the world title or the WWE Championship, why in the world would you be backstage talking to the U.S. champion? You get what I mean? It makes no sense. When has this ever happened ever? What Money in the Bank competitor leading into the match a couple days before the match is trying to communicate with the US champion that they're going to be going for their title? Aim for the biggest title possible. Isn't Julia supposed to be one of the best women's wrestlers on the world? That's what everyone says she is. I don't believe that she is, but that's what everyone says. So act like it. Go for world title gold and let it be that. But no, we have to hear Zelina Vega talk about how she's grinded for this title so much and she believes in herself. She's worked so hard for this. You're going to have to pry this title off her dead body. Like, dude, Zelina Vega, I'm glad I saw this. Shout out to this tweet here, okay? Just look at this. Zelina Vega's last 11 matches have consisted of all matches against the Secret Service. We get the same matches every single week. Why is Triple H releasing any type of talent backstage if we're just going to get the same matches every single week? It makes no sense.
Look at this list, man. Such a shame.
Why release all these talents if it's just going to be the same 2 or 3 people wrestling every week? Release everyone then. Release everyone and keep the only 3 or 4 people that are going to be fighting every single week. There's no way you made a women's U.S. championship, and when Chelsea Green had it, it was her versus Michin on repeat for 3 months, and now Zelina Vega has it, and now it's been Zelina Vega versus the Secret Service on repeat for 2 months. How is this possible? This is embarrassing. It is absolutely ridiculous. There is zero effort given to the women's mid-card on either brand, to be honest with you. But on SmackDown, it's glaringly obvious. You get the same match every single week. Why would anybody want to watch any of this garbage? You know, so we're not even going to talk about this street fight, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? That Zelina Vega and Piper Niven had. Zelina Vega had a cool spot where she hit a code red from the top rope. Then after that, Piper Niven was back up on her feet within like 30 seconds, which is just ridiculous and stupid booking, but it is what it is. Then Zelina Vega hits a power bomb onto a table that has a Slim Jim logo on it because WWE has officially sold out for TKO. We have to get 50 ads on every single product, and that's that. After we get this, Zelina Vega gets the pin and gets the W, and then Julia obviously helped her out with this by hitting Piper Niven with a kendo stick a couple of times. And then after this takes place, Julia stands tall with Zelina Vega. You think they're going to be buddies, and then Julia hits her finishing maneuver. I forget what it's called. I'm pretty sure no one knows what it's called in the first place, to be real. She hits the finisher, and then she stands over Zelina Vega with the U.S. Championship. So basically, Julia will not be winning the Money in the Bank tomorrow, as we already knew. She's going to be going after Zelina Vega's U.S. Championship, and I'm assuming this means Chelsea Green will likely be headed to the island of irrelevancy.
No, I ain't gonna lie. I felt like that was the best match that Selena ever had with Piper Niven. Like I thought it was a really great match. I mean, Selena definitely showed strength in this match. I mean, with the code red and the power bomb, like that just lets you know how strong she is. So I really like those 2 spots and those 2 moves. So shout out to Selena for making this, for putting out an impact in this match. You know, so to me, this is one of my favorite matches from Selena and Piper, if you ask me.
Then we basically get a backstage segment with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, revealing that the Queen and the King of the Ring tournaments are going to be beginning starting next week. Basically, the winner of the King and the Queen of the Ring, like last year, gets a title shot for their world championship on their respective brand at SummerSlam. So this is actually kind of interesting because it actually matters long term. The winner of these matches at Night of Champions are going to be able to fight for WWE or World Title Gold, so that's going to be cool, I guess. The fact that they're getting all this done in the next 2 or 3 weeks leading up to Night of Champions at the end of the month is very interesting, but again, everything's rushed and everything makes no sense and it's all messy garbage. That's why TKO is an absolute disaster class, and that's why The Rock and Triple H can't stand one another, because the business and the company and the creative is garbage. Now we get on to the next segment. LA Knight basically comes out and cuts a promo, and you could tell he seemed a little bit defeated because it looks like LA Knight literally brought up the fact that he's going to be competing in his third time competing in the Money in the Bank ladder match, okay? And now that he's competing in this match for the 3rd year in a row, he knows he's not going to win, so he just sounds defeated. He's like, this is my 3rd year in a row doing this. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And is he going to win? No. You know what I'm saying? He ain't going to win nothing, so it is what it is. LA Knight comes out and basically says that. He goes over every single member in the match and then basically says that they're going to get stomped out by the man they call the megastar, LA Knight. Yeah, and he says that D-lister Black is going to be sitting on the couch watching at home as LA Knight goes and wins that Money in the Bank. And at this point, this is just embarrassing, man. The fact that LA Knight has these gifts and these talents, and he's relegated to sitting backstage and not winning these matches, and even when he does get on the cards and the PLEs, he's not winning anything. He's not going to win this Money in the Bank match. It's very obvious by the way he cut his promo, and the fact that, Solo Sikoa and Seth Rollins came out there and did their thing. I really, really hope, man, that LA Knight wins. I want LA Knight to win. I think it would be great if he did win, but it's clearly true. It's very clear that WWE has their eyes on either Solo or Seth Rollins to win. But LA Knight could easily get the dub. I'm not saying I don't think it's going to happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. But it's possible that maybe Seth gets cost by Roman and Solo gets cost by Jacob Fatu, and maybe LA Knight can sneak in there and get the W. Because we know for sure Penta, Chad Gable, and Andrade are not winning the Money in the Bank. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I'm rooting for LA Knight in this match. I really hope he wins this because I think if he wins, it will help WWE with their ratings. But however, if Solo or Seth Rollins win, that would be messed up because, everything in this match is probably going to be a complete waste. That's why I'd rather watch the women's match because at least, we either can, get Naomi to win or Roxanne to win or Stephanie Valkyria to win or Alexa, So right now people are voting for Naomi, but, again, we have to wait and see when this video drop is going to be on the pay-per-view. So we'll see what happens at 7 o'clock. We'll see what happens at 7. So, yeah. But, yeah, I'm rooting for LA Knight, but we have to wait and see. So we'll see.
With that. Then we get D-Lister Black versus LA Knight. There was multiple horrendous botches inside of this match. I keep hearing about Aleister Black, the D-Lister Black, and the Muay Thai. Man, he knows Muay Thai. The Muay Thai. Nobody cares. This match was mid at best. And then at the end of it, Seth Rollins curb stomps LA Knight, and then Braun Breaker spears D-Lister Black, and that's pretty much it. They stand tall over LA Knight, and that's it. If their goal was to soften up the competition before tomorrow's match, why didn't they just beat the crap out of Solo earlier? Or why didn't they go backstage and beat up Andrade, you know what I'm saying? And what's his name? And Penta. But you know what? Who knows? And Chad Gable as well. But you know what? At the end of the day, who knows? Maybe in the matches that I'm missing, you know what I'm saying, with Andrade and whoever the heck I think it's him and Penta versus either Chad Gable and just Julius Creed, whatever it is. Maybe in that match they got beat up. We'll cover it if it happens later. And that's pretty much the end of this LA Knight versus D-Lister Black match. Then we get to Tiffany Stratton. And this Tiffany Stratton match has a serious issue. Now, already in this show, we've got a bunch of repetitive matches, repetitive segments that have had no nuance and no creativity, and they've all been pretty much boring. And this segment with Tiffany Stratton goes to show you a lot of things wrong with WWE. Number one is this. Tiffany Stratton comes out and she basically literally says, she gets on the mic and literally says this. This is her exact words. It's a very fast promo. She says, let's be real. Everyone wants to be like me. Everyone wants to win the Money in the Bank briefcase like Tiffy Time did last year. Everyone wants to be like Tiffany Stratton and win that gold and win that championship. But you guys are not like me. Stop. This is boring, it's annoying, and nobody cares. Why is your WWE Women's Champion going out there to say the same line she's been saying for a few weeks now at this point? If you guys want to try and win the Money in the Bank briefcase and cash it on me, it's not going to work. Tiffy Time. Stop. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm Tama Tonga. Yeah.
What is this? This nigga when I say probably with a bitch or two if I'm delivering a square. How we get into a scuffle, got my knife. Bro, that's how he said it though.
You know, it's just ridiculous at this point. Tiffany Stratton comes out and cuts bad promos week after week, and she only says like 1 to 2 sentences of dialogue and then ends it with, hey guys, what time is it? Tiffy time? Stop. It is boring. And the problem with this is that the crowd actually thinks that this is what it is to get over. They're cheering for this. They're popping for this. How can you pop for someone saying 2 sentences that have been uttered by the same competitor for the last 5 weeks? What is there to pop about? And then it gets worse. Rhea Ripley then comes out, and let me tell you exactly what she says. She comes out there, she's like this, right? She goes, first off, I've never had to win the Money in the Bank, yeah, but I've been a world championship before, and I know what it feels like to take back your title and I never lost, yeah. And then it stops, awkward pause for like 10 seconds, and then Stephanie Valkyria comes out, and the crowd is losing their minds for Rhea Ripley throughout this entire triple threat tag match. It's Alexa, Rhea, and Stephanie versus Naomi, Roxanne, and Julia. This match was the most glazed match of all time. Stephanie Valkyria did her signature move, you know what I'm saying, the oh yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? And then Rhea Ripley basically destroys Roxanne Perez for like 10 or 5 minutes straight, and then she hits the Riptide, pins her, and that's it. There is no reason why Rhea Ripley, from the moment she got on the mic to the moment she wrestled in the ring, which she only wrestled for like a few minutes max, like actual wrestling, she had a phenomenal sell on those DDTs, though. That's what Rhea Ripley does amazing. She sells DDTs brilliantly. I will always give her that. That's absolutely incredible the way she does it. However, the way that she got cheered and popped for doing nothing is egregious. Remember, like I keep saying, she's had like maybe by this point now, it's been like, what, 14 to 15 televised matches in the last 550 days at this point. Why in the world would Rhea Ripley be getting a pop? She said one line. I never had the Money in the Bank briefcase before, but I've been a champion, yeah. Stop. Awkward pause. Yay, massive pop. Mommy. Like, what are you doing? This is embarrassing. This shows you how low the bar is for the fans. You can do nothing and still be massively over, and that is what this whole entire sequence and segment was a actual, example for. So I thought this was a really bad example of what pro wrestling is today, but that's just me. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay, I just want to stop the video real quick to let y'all know that Raquel got some new merch for the summer, dog. And it's black and gold. It's going down for real. Now, the price is not right, but hey, the shipping is free with the code on the bottom. So you already know, if you got an extra 40, go ahead and cop this merch. Because this merch is on fire. And this girl is on fire. Raquel is off the scale with this merch, dog. And also the link is going to be on the bio, so you already know. Let's get back to the video. Raquelio!
But anyways, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, and Stephanie Vaquer pick up the W inside of this match, and that's pretty much it. This match shouldn't even exist in the first place. I don't know why any of these women will want to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? You should just want to watch everyone else fight so that way they can weaken each other up and they can be softened up for tomorrow. But I guess that doesn't matter, because again, nothing makes sense, and we have to deal with it.
Well, I disagree. I think that tag team match was lit. And shout out to Stephanie Vaquer and Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley teaming up together. Even though I kind of wanted Roxanne to score a dub, I knew they were going to win. I mean, even the poll said they were going to win. And honestly, the crowd loved it. I loved it. Honestly, I can't wait to do a reaction video to that tag team match. And, yeah, man, this Smackdown was good. But obviously the CJAX is not. So no, that tag team match was good. It was good. Shout out to Roxanne, Julia, and Naomi, too. They did a good job as well. So, yeah, that was a good match. That was a good match.
Now, I just caught up on what I missed, basically, as I predicted or got referenced, a little bit ago, the fact that I predicted that, Rollins and his team would obviously beat up Andrade and Penta, inside of this match, to soften them up for tomorrow. Then Paul Heyman basically claims that Seth Rollins is going to win, and as Paul Heyman's in the middle of, saying, the reigning, defending line, he gets interrupted by Cody Rhodes coming out. And by the way, right before Cody and Jay got on the mic, Seth Rollins was out there, in the middle of Heyman announcing, the reigning, defending thing or whatever. There's a little moment basically where what's it called, Cody Rhodes comes out, and I'm thinking maybe Cody Rhodes will address the fact that Seth Rollins literally put his body on the line at WrestleMania 40 in order to end Roman Reigns' his run of tyranny, as Seth Rollins called it last year. And I'm like, that doesn't even get addressed. Cody Rhodes doesn't even address the fact that Seth Rollins is practically ruining wrestling in his own sense by making this new faction and doing the same thing Roman Reigns was doing and trying to get power that way. It's not addressed at all. Seth Rollins nearly broke his body in half, at WrestleMania 40 trying to stop Roman Reigns and end the tirade, and then he starts a tirade of his own with his new faction. What is the point of this? None of this is addressed. It makes it so that WrestleMania 40 and all the good storylines they had leading up to it don't even matter anymore. The Rock's not there. Roman ain't there. Seth and Cody don't even acknowledge it. So what's the point? It's just a stupid plot hole and just bad, contradictory, terrible level writing. No attention to detail. No acknowledgement of the past. No acknowledgement of the present. Just bad booking to get you through the shows, man. It's very low effort, and I thought it was very embarrassing and very disrespectful to the fans who sat there and tuned in and enjoyed those storylines, This is how we get repaid. A year later, the same dudes are in the ring together, or nearly in the ring together, and none of the history, none of the past is acknowledged at all. None of Seth Rollins' actions are acknowledged at all. Same with Cody. So whatever, man. Cody Rhodes then proceeds to, go out there, and then Jey Uso, they do the, what they do with the audience planting little kid in one of the rows so that Jey Uso can go out and stand there with him and yeet. It's so stupid. Jey Uso is one of the worst, if not the worst world champion of all time in the modern era. By a mile. I'm talking like nearly Jack Swagger levels of bad as world champion. Jey Uso stinks. He's not good on the mic at all. Now, he used to be good when he was in the Bloodline. He was actually intense and taking things seriously. But now he yeets for 10 minutes. He gets to the ring out of breath. He acts like a cornball. He acts like a dork inside of the ring. It's unbearable. Cody Rhodes gets on the mic and he looks Cody Rhodes looked out of sorts in this promo too. And he cut a really bad one. He basically gets on the mic and he's like, "So, Bakersfield, what do you want to talk about?" You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? Then Cody Rhodes proceeds to basically talk about the fact that John Cena has gotten desperate. It's time to talk about Bakersfield. And then Jey Uso's like, yeet. You know what I'm saying? The whole crowd's like, yeet. And then Cody Rhodes is like, it's time to talk about Money in the Bank. Yeet. It's time to talk about Logan Paul and John Cena. Yeet. And then they boo them for a second. And then he's like, we're going to beat them down tomorrow. Jay, what do you call a yeet down? Or a beat down, sorry. And then they pander to the crowd. The crowd's they're just pandering so bad to get yeet pops. Then Jey Uso says, I call that a yeet down for the one time, 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. Like, what are we doing? I haven't heard someone say yeet to me in a decade. That's the last time I heard yeet. The word yeet was in 2015 or 2016 before this whole nonsense gimmick. This is a disaster. Everyone knows this. This is stupid. I am really hoping that Logan Paul or Gunther takes the title off this guy. And you guys know how I feel about Gunther. He's a mid-card jobber at best. And I'm hoping that he takes the belt off of Jay because that's how boring and how...
Well, I disagree. I'm hoping that LA Knight would take the belt off of Jay. And if Seth Rollins wins today, then, he could take the belt off Jay. You know what I mean? Or Solo, which, again, I hope it's LA Knight, but I'm just saying, I hope they win. Or either one, they take the belt off Jay. You know what I mean? Because I do not want Gunther to take it. Logan Paul, I don't care. If Logan Paul takes it, go ahead. I don't really got no beef with Logan Paul, so, go ahead and take it, bro. But LA Knight for sure, I want him to take it.
Bad this title reign has been. It's hurting the upper card, it's hurting both brands, and it's making these segments straight up unwatchable. It's unwatchable. I'm not here to be a little kid yeeting and watching in the front row. I'm here to watch entertaining and good gripping storylines that are intriguing and actually put me in a spot of actually being engaged in what I'm looking at, not nearly falling asleep while some guy is yeeting, So that's that. Cody then calls Cena desperate, and then Jey Uso says yeet, and then John Cena comes out. John Cena's sporting a really nice gear, man. He's got the purple and gold, for the Lakers, because they're going to be in LA tomorrow in California, you know what I'm saying? So that's cool. Thought it was a great gear. That's pretty nice. Then John Cena comes down to the ring. Then basically kind of holds his title up and gets introduced as the never-seen 17, the GOAT. And then Logan Paul sneaks in and knocks out Jey Uso. Cody Rhodes then gets hit by the title, which was a very botchy and just bad-looking hit that Cena did on Cody with the title. It didn't even look like it really touched him, but it is what it is. Then after that takes place, John Cena AAs both of them, I think, and then Logan Paul nearly botches a first frog splash, but he hits a frog splash on both. They stand tall, and John Cena basically says the same thing he's been saying for weeks or months at this point. He says, I'm going to ruin your wrestling dreams. Everything you want WWE to be will die. You know what I'm saying? And I am the last real champion, yada, yada, yada. The crowd then loudly chants, we want our truth for like a good few minutes, and, it's very loud, it's very audible. Cena then acknowledges it, you know what I'm saying? And Cena actually says, he's like, what's it called? Cena says the words, he goes, what did he say, man? John Cena said, he's like, you want our truth, you know what I'm saying? And he says, our truth is that we are going to be the last real champions, and we are going to ruin wrestling because you fans are hypocrites and you don't deserve us. Then they AA Cody and Jey Uso another couple times, and they stand tall with the belts, both holding them up, and that's the final shot of Smackdown before Money in the Bank tomorrow. Something I have to talk about as well with this whole entire situation, if John Cena does not turn face within the next month or two at best, this heel run this heel run's already a failure. We already knew it was. I announced that when it happened at the Chamber, but it is what it is. This whole heel run is an absolute disaster. You know what I'm saying? It just is. We have to stop pretending like it's something that it's not. This is horrible. It is bad television, and it is bad content. I don't want to hear, oh, well, here's the plan, man. He wanted to ruin wrestling. This is what he wanted. Stop. They're here to make, TKO wants to make money. You're seeing it with the real life cuts they're doing on the roster. They want to make money, and obviously the creative team or WWE as a whole, Triple H, they want, or at least they should be, wanting to entertain the fans. Just because John Cena wants to ruin wrestling doesn't mean that every single segment and every single match needs to be repetitive, boring, and bad for the last 8 months. That's not acceptable. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Stop making excuses for this bad content, bro. This is stupid. It's garbage content, and this heel run is a failure. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going to be dropping my Money in the Bank review shortly after the PLE is over, probably like an hour or two after, within the next hour or two after the PLE is done. Expect a review coming out from your boy. And with that being said, I'm going to give this episode of Smackdown probably a 3 out of 10 at best. You know, it wasn't the worst episode of all time, but it was very bad in my personal opinion for a multitude of reasons. With that being said, I thank you guys for watching this video. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.
All right, well, tune in for Worlds Collide tonight. This afternoon at 3 o'clock. I'll try to be live so that way I can watch it. Otherwise, if I don't make it, I'll definitely watch Money in the Bank at 7 o'clock. So I'll hope he'll be able to do that. I mean, I know I'm going to definitely watch Money in the Bank for sure at 7 o'clock. But as for World Collide, hopefully I can make it so that way I'll be able to watch it with you guys on YouTube. And hopefully there won't be no interruptions. Hopefully I can still go live and watch it on YouTube. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see. But get in the comment box. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share if you do. And what do you guys think about SmackDown, man? You thought it was trash? You thought it was cool? Y'all let me know down below, all right? I'm out.